Okay? So we pay homage first. Okay? Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛 Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛 Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛 So the opening gatha is the Dhamma infinitely profound and subtle. It's rarely encountered, even in a million kalpas. Now we are able to hear, study, and follow and practice. May we fully understand and realize the Tathagata's true meaning. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so which chapter are we on? 9. Very good. You're following, hey? Good. Okay, chapter 9. Chapter 9, how many chapters do we have in this sutta? 42. So we are 1/3. Oh, no, 1/4. Less than 1/4. Okay. When did we start this? February, I think. It was February. Gosh, 3 months. And we only gone through 9 chapters. That worked really well. I think so. Yeah. I'm staying home. No, I'm never gone. Deborah, no, I'm never gone. But anyway, okay. Chapter 9 is a very good chapter, this chapter, okay? You'll be very pleased with this chapter. So don't complain. Okay. Chapter 9, knowledge and practice. The Buddha said, for those who accrue, that means accumulate, extensive knowledge of the way, that means the path, becoming enamored with it, that means protected or whatever, shield with it. The way is difficult to attain. And for those with unwavering resolve in following the way is great indeed. Did you see this contradiction? I mean, it's a contradictory view in these 2 verses, in these 2 passages. Why would extensive knowledge is actually not conducive to attain the way? Rather, it is difficult to attain the way. Very good. You have been doing some research. You have been studying a little bit. Yeah. That's the habits of a teacher, right?
But this is why I love this.
You love this?
I love this. It's not all about the book.
Exactly. It's not all about the book. Because attainment actually comes from understanding through the knowledge. And of course, the knowledge has to come from study, has to come from hearing. Not necessarily, but mostly. You know, in the mundane sense, it's always like we have to study, we have to read, we have to listen, we have to see, and all that. Actually, the attainment of enlightenment or the attainment of liberation or the attainment of true freedom, which is from inside, it's not from outside. It actually comes from experience. And extensive knowledge doesn't necessarily brings the attainment of the way, because why? A lot of times we rely on the external knowledge to bring knowledge. Do we? Don't we? Yeah. And then all our mental formations actually could be easily affected by what we learn from there, from what we see or what we read or what we listen from the outside world. Say, for example, I have told you about this they call great meditator teacher who has a great ashram in India, and with long beard and white hair and white beard and with a turban and all that. So you know who he is also. So a lot of people actually read his things and think this is so great. When we do not have that kind of wisdom, or we do not have that kind of ability to judge which is proper, which is appropriate, which is correct, then it seems to be correct. It seems to be teaching you something about the Buddha's teaching, because it's always say the Buddha said this, and the Buddha did this, and the Buddha taught this, and you think it's the Buddha actually taught that. The Buddha actually did this. But you never know whether it was true words until you what? You try to actually verify that with the original sutta, which is like an encyclopedia of Buddhism, the Pali Canon or the Mahayana Canon. Okay, so the knowledge that you gain from the outside world is not necessarily correct knowledges that will help you to cultivate or to develop this true inner wisdom, or to help you to actually eradicate the ignorance, the craving, the anger. Okay, so who can tell me that there are three kind of wisdom, or the three kind of knowledges that you can actually attain? By the first one is by books, studying. What is that? Yeah, Suttamaya Panya. That is Pariyatti, right? Is that right, Tisa? Pariyatti in Pali? Pariyatti. That means studying the books. Pariyatti, right? Yeah. That is Suttamaya Panya. That means the wisdom or the knowledge that you gain from studying. Okay? So like if you want to go somewhere else, you get a map out and you study the map. And you study the map, you learn, oh, this place you have to turn, and then there is like brown thing and going up at the contour, going deeper and deeper. That means there's a big high mountain, right? And the green, that means like pasture or whatever, and then blue means river. So you understand that theoretically because you have learned about that. That's Sutta Maya Panya. That means the knowledge that you gain from studying, from reading, from hearing. So what about the second one?
Listening or seeing someone else? Listening to talks and stuff?
No, that's the sutta.
Isn't that Chinta? Where you listen to lectures and talks?
Then you start, no, Chinta Mayapana, that means you start to dissolve, you start to absorb it, you start to analyze with your mind, right? That's Chitta Mayapana. That means you're starting to use this mind. But this mind is a what? Interpretative mind, yeah? Analytical mind. But is that the true mind that we all have as where the Buddha nature is stored? No, that's an analytical mind. That is the sanya, mostly. Remember the sanya? The 5 aggregates. Okay. I feel so sorry for him because he's sitting right there. So you guys are so nice to see so far back. Even I look at you, you can pretend that you don't see it. So you have gained the knowledge and you start to understand it. Okay, that's Chintamaya Panya. Yeah. And what is the last one? Yes. Personal experience, that's the last one. Bhavana Mayapanya. Bhavana Mayapanya, that means the cultivation of the mind through experience. And because the experience is your own experience, nobody can experience your experience, nor you can experience other experience. Even though people try to explain to you about the experience, but there is always a limited capacity to explain, to describe the experience. So the bhavana mayapanya, that means the wisdom that you actually develop from experience. Okay, so when you are in meditation, like me, I'm experiencing a lot of heat today. So much heat. I'm sweating. I don't know why. It must be the French fries this afternoon. I think it's the French fries. Endless fries, that's white spot. I did not order endless fries, but whatever I had the fries. I thought tomorrow I'm going into 10-day retreat, so I might as well stuff myself. Poor me, and I keep sweating and so much heat. Oh gosh! And Tan Sifu said, "You're hot. I'm cold." And look at her; she's all wrapped up. Like it's winter, but yet I'm sweating. Sorry, it's so hot. It must be the French fries. The French fries doesn't have any say to complain that I complain about them. Okay, so this bhavana mayapana, that means the last type of wisdom is cultivated through experience. Cannot be cultivated through thinking, cannot be cultivated through studying, cannot be cultivated through reading or hearing. It can only be cultivated through experience, your own experience. If you hear somebody tell you something, it's like, okay, I haven't experienced that. Then maybe, for example, when I teach meditation, I say, okay, you put your attention at the entrance of nostril and see if you can experience that breath air coming in. What I tell you is what? Sutta Mayapanya. And then you think, oh, yes, we breathe. Okay. Yeah, I know that I breathe, and there's definitely breath air going in and out. Then you know. And okay, then you thought, maybe I could try. Then there's Chitta Mayapanya, that you start to actually absorb that knowledge and start to digest that knowledge. When you sit down and you put your attention right here and you feel that breath air coming in and going out, and then you start to experience, that's not the only place that the breath actually happens. It happens throughout the whole body. When the mind is very calm and quiet, the whole body actually breathes at the same time. And it happens. And you can feel, the breath coming in and going out through all these pores. It's, hey, that's the true experience, you see? And if I tell you, oh, the body breathes at the same time, it's like crazy. How can my body breathe at the same time? I only know that it breathes through here. But when you start to experience it, oh, yes, the whole body breathes. The whole body breathes. Every follicle breathes. Okay, so that's the true knowledge that actually you gain. There was this very renowned monk called Venerable Huineng, and he's the sixth patriarch in the Zen tradition. And he was illiterate, completely illiterate. Okay, he did not read one word. He cannot read one word. Before he became a monk, he was in the temple, burning fire, grinding. What do you call that? Before it become rice, you have to grind the husk off. Okay, so the fifth patriarch asked the monks, write down your enlightenment gatha, and he wrote it down. And one of his fellow monks actually wrote it down, and his teacher said, "Oh, it's a good gatha, but it's not a liberating. It's not an enlightened gatha, enlightened passage." And Venerable Huineng actually wrote it down. He did not write it down. He asked somebody to write it down because he could not write, but he can only speak the word. So the little boy wrote it down, and the little boy make him promise, if you are going to receive the bowl and the rope from the fifth patriarch, and if you are enlightened, make sure you come back to help me to reach enlightenment. And he wrote it down. The little boy wrote it down for him. And the fifth patriarch walked by next morning and saw it. And he knew that was an enlightened Gata. But he did not say anything because he knew somebody is going to kill him or to hurt him because he was nothing. He was just a householder inside the temple. He wasn't even a monk yet at that time. So Venerable Huineng actually received the bowl and the rope from the fifth patriarch in the middle of the night. And then after that, he fled. The fifth patriarch asked him to flee to the southern part of China and hide himself for many years before he started to come out to teach. And he has a reputation of knowing everything. And people come to him and say, okay, I have this question in this sutta, say, for example, Lotus Sutra or Dhamma Sutra. And he said, okay, I don't read. You have to read it to me. You read the passage to me and I will explain it to you. So people would read, even the deepest, greatest, the big sutta, the really huge sutta, they read and he would just explain everything just like that. So that is the wisdom. Though that kind of wisdom is from own experience. It cannot be cultivated from hearing or interpretation or analysis. Okay. So, and also why would this accrue extensive knowledge of the path is actually, we could say, could be an obstacle to attainment, to enlightenment, or to liberation. Is because what you hear from the teacher, there are many classes of teachers. Some teacher teaches more shallow, some teacher teaches deeper. And when you do not reach the deeper level, you don't understand, right? So it could be, very different according to different teachers and different tradition also. So that's why it is also a difficult, and also because the more knowledge that we gain from the sutta mayapana, that means the studying, the hearing, the more we are stuck in that box. We can be so stuck in that box, we can never transcend ourselves. Okay, so that's also one obstacle. All right, so the Buddha said, how would you choose whether to actually to believe or to follow the tradition or to follow the teaching? And remember, we talked about that. I think we talked about that many years ago, but not in here after we moved here. Have we? We have. Oh, never mind. Somebody hasn't heard this before. Definitely. Okay. So we refresh. We refresh. Okay. Remember the 10 rules? The 10 rules, how you actually examine the knowledge, whether you should follow or not follow. Okay. So it is in the Kalamas Sutta. And Kalamas is a tribe. And at that time, the Kalamas actually were thinking of, what to follow and who to follow and which to believe, whether this Brahma is talking the truth, speaking about the truth, or whether that Brahma is speaking about the higher truth or not. So they went to the Buddha. And that's why this sutta is called the Kalamas Sutta, because it's the tribe of Kalamas. And so these Kalamas people, they went to ask the Buddha, and the Buddha say, do not go just by oral tradition. Like if I pass it on to you, don't just totally believe. Don't just totally believe. How, well, we can talk about the other 9 first, and then before we come back to say how should we go about it. And the second is not to believe just by the lineage of teaching. You say, oh, then that's very scary. Because, sister, I have been in here listening to your Dhamma talk for the last 5 years. What happened? Should I not follow, or should I follow? Because that, I mean, you teach from the lineage of the Pali tradition, the ancient teaching, and now you start to teach from the Mahayana lineage, right? 42 chapters is the Mahayana lineage. Okay, so should I believe in you, or should I not? You don't have to. You don't have to. You only believe when you listen, and then you can verify that with your own experience. All right? So, by the lineage of teaching, or by hearsay, oh, I heard somebody tell me this. Haven't we got a lot of experience like this? I had a few experience in the past few weeks. A couple of people actually came to me, told me about what kind of problem they have. And because they heard people telling them that they have this problem, that's why they have to go to that teacher, and they have this problem, that's why they have to go to that temple. And they ended up, having a lot of difficulty, spending a lot of money or losing their health and all that. So this is by hearsay, right? Where are the evidence that I have problem like this? I have this problem, I have that problem. Where is the evidence? Show me the evidence, right? Or, oh, you should follow me. If you follow me, then you will be enlightened. And also, when the Buddha said, when your teacher tell you something, you can actually examine your teacher. They teach you something, are they behaving like that? Do they walk the talk, not just talk the talk, right? There are a lot of people who are actually talking the talk, not really walking the talk. That's very, very, very important. And also, by a collection of texts, now, okay, I say, now this is the Pali Canon, then you have to study this. Oh, this text, you have to believe that these are all true. These are all the true words. These you have to follow. You don't blindly follow. You have to examine the text. Are they logical? Are they sensible? Are they applicable into our daily life? And if it is applicable into our daily life, I integrate them, I implement them into our daily life. My daily life should be better. If our life doesn't improve, that means something wrong. Either wrong with our own practice, or either wrong with your interpretation of the text, or the text is wrong. But when you look at the text of the Buddha, it's come down from how many years? 2,600 years ago. It's all that way down from historically, all that way passed down to us right now. And it hasn't changed. Hasn't changed. So something that actually been passed down historically, that for that long, there should be some truth to that, right? Otherwise, it won't exist for that long. You agree? Yeah. So even by a collection of texts, we still have to verify that. Can we experience what the texts teach? That's very important. And by logic, oh, this is logical, isn't it? It's logic. And then you just believe that, oh, this is logical. I believe this. But your interpretation of logic is from this limited mind. It's from this limited mind. So whether it is really logical, it's only a very personal interpretation. Okay. So number 6 is by inferential reasoning. What do you mean by inferential reasoning?
Inferencing. Reading between the lines.
Inferencing, not influencing. Inferencing. Okay. So give me an example of that.
Well, the underlying
Yeah. Yeah. That means you try to guess what is the underlying meaning. When you try to guess, what do you use? Yeah. Here. But not the wise mind. It's the old habitual mind, right? Then when you try to guess, a lot of time we guess it wrong. That's why the Buddha teaches something wonderful. The way it is. When you see things the way it is, you won't have this inferential reasoning. You won't try to think underneath. Okay, what is there, right? That's very, very important. It's but very difficult. It is so difficult. I think this is one of the most difficult things to do. But not trying to see the meaning behind the whole scene. Yeah, it's very difficult. But once you start to do this, it feels so much at ease. Okay, this is the way it is. I just accept it the way it is, and just be happy with it. And then you can just take a deep breath and sigh. That's it. Done. Don't try to guess. Don't try to see the underneath meaning, because when you start to see that, there is a lot of times there is a lot of wrong interpretation by reason cogitation. This is very, very philosophical. What do you mean by this? What do you think? Anybody make a guess? No? What is cogitation means? Yeah. Justify, interpret, and analyze. Yeah. But they're just using some Shakespeare's language. Okay. Yeah, trying to, yeah.
That shoots Spock down.
Huh?
That shoots Spock down on Star Trek.
Oh, that's Spock. Oh, the one with the pointed ears. He died last year, didn't he?
That was on a Nimoy.
He was Spock, right? He was the one with this. No, it wasn't him. It was him. Oh, okay, all right. That was like 40 years ago. I watched that.
Yeah, but he just died.
Yeah. Okay, I thought he was the captain, the one who died. No, it was Spock. Oh, okay. Well, by the acceptance of a view after pondering it. Pondering, what does that mean? By spending time thinking. Remember what I said to you in the meditation. When you sit down, don't try to figure out things. Don't try to spend your meditation time in thinking and trying to find a solution through your problems by sitting. Don't waste that time, because you're really wasting time, because you're sitting there, you're trying to think, you think with that sanya. Yeah, one of the 5 aggregates. When you think with the sanya is actually from all this past experience, and that could be very, very biased. When you ponder upon something, you could be very biased. Okay, so don't just accept it after pondering. Okay, and by the seeming competence of a speaker. So What is that laugh means? Oh, come on. All right. Yeah, seeming competence of a speaker. I mean, there's so many out there seeming so competent in giving speeches and all that. They could be very misleading. Yeah, yeah. And or because you think, oh, the aesthetic is our teacher, okay? Or you don't have to think, you don't have to put this on, oh, because you think she is our teacher, he is our teacher, so we have to believe that. We have to take that word seen. You don't have to. Okay? And the Buddha said, remember, always remember, you have to check it out with your own experience. And also, you have to check it out if the teacher has just been recently enlightened. So, and also he said, you have to check the teacher, whether he is or she is abiding by all the precepts. You have to check the teacher, whether there is fame, there is material gain involved in any of these acts, teaching acts, you know. So that's one thing that you can actually verify whether you should follow that teacher or not. And this Kalama Sutta is verified that how would you choose which path to follow? Okay? All right? So the Buddha has given us a tool. Okay, and then the Ananda, we go back to Ananda, and Ananda said, why did we go to Ananda now? Because it said there, the knowledge that you gain will not help you to walk on that path. But we are taking the teachings from the Buddha. And the Buddha went into Nibbana, right? He passed away. So Ananda asked four very important questions before the Buddha actually went into Nibbana. Ananda was the close attendant to the Buddha. And he was the one who remembered all the teachings of the Buddha. And all the teachings that we see nowadays because of Ananda. He remembered everything and he compiled everything together with 499 other monks who are enlightened. So that's why we have the blessing of the teachings today. Okay, that's why I wanted to bring out these four very important questions that Ananda put up before the Buddha actually went into Nibbana. I don't think we actually talked about this. Did we? No, not in this session, I don't think. I think I talked about that in the Chinese section. That's why it's so confusing now. I teach the 42 chapters now, then I teach the Mahamangana Sutta tomorrow, then something I talk here, I thought I talk over there, and something I talk over there, I thought I talk here. I'm confusing myself. I created this for myself. Well, anyway, so Ananda asked the Buddha the four questions. The first question is, when the Buddha was alive, ignorant and stubborn bhikkhus could not be tamed. But how to deal with them after you went into Nibbana? Oh, I know what happened today. I used the wrong size. Never mind. Okay, when the Buddha was alive, ignorant and stubborn bhikkhus could be tamed, but how to deal with them after you went into Nibbana? Ananda asked the Buddha, what happened then? And the Buddha said, what did the Buddha say? The Buddha said, oh, Ananda, it is very easy. You have to follow the teachings of the Buddha. And you don't have to try to tame them. The stubborn bhikkhus could not be tamed, then there is one way to actually deal with these bhikkhus, is to silently abandon them. Do you understand what is silently abandon them? That means treat them as if they are transparent right in front of you. Yeah, that's horrible, isn't it, Laurie? Yes.
What are the stubborn?
Stubborn bhikkhus. Bhikkhus are monks. In Pali words, bhikkhus are monks, okay? So, yeah, okay, silently abandon them. That means they still live inside, they still live within the Sangha, but you don't address them at all. It's very difficult. There was this Professor Iwamoto, the water guy. Iwamoto? Yeah, Emoto. Remember he tested the rice? The rice. He established a theory. And he said the water knows. So if you say to a bottle of water, I love you, or you say to a bottle of water, I hate you, or you just ignore that bottle of water, and then you freeze the water, and then you take the crystal out, put it underneath under the microscope, and you see the crystal that formed. And the one, I love you, is beautiful crystal, like the snowflakes that we have. And the one, I hate you, could be like shattered crystal, but it's still crystallized to form crystal shape. But the one you ignored, completely like this. And it's all like gluey and mushy and slimy. And so he thought, he actually took a lot of pictures he actually took a lot of water from different places, like Vienna, New York, Vancouver, Hong Kong, China, and everywhere around the world. He actually he actually published, I think, 3 books. It's called Water Knows. Not this nose, but this nose. And then inside there was this one theory, one experiment with the rice, because Japanese eat rice every day, right? So he cooked 3 pots of rice. One pot is stick a piece of paper there. I say, I love you. You're beautiful. The other one is, I don't like you. I hate you. And the other one is nothing. So every day he goes by, go to work. He died 3 years ago. Went to work, and he passed by these 3 pots of rice cooker with rice in it, without opening up the lid. He said, I love you, towards that rice cooker, and then I hate you, and then just look at it and walk away, ignore. I think by the end of a week or something, or 2 weeks even, and he opened it up. The one with I love you is still good rice. I hate you, it's gone a little bit mucky. And the one I transparent, I mean, like ignoring, it really bad, turned bad, really stinky. So he said, because you rather say something nasty to somebody, that is better than not paying attention to them. It's really difficult. That kind of emotional, it's a lot of emotional distress on that party. Okay, so that's the first thing. And then he said, when the Buddha is alive, you are our teacher. Who should we rely on as a teacher after you went into Nibbana? Somebody says something. The precepts. Okay, that means, Dhamma.
You say make an island of yourself.
Yeah, make an island of yourself. and actually you rely on the morality, the sila. Yeah? Make an island onto yourself, that means you try to cultivate this gem, the triple gems from inside. You review the triple gems that we all have, the gem of the Buddha, the gem of the Dhamma, the gem of the Sangha, from there. But here he said, when Buddha is alive, you are our teacher. Who should we rely? Because if you rely on the morality, on the precepts, you have a guideline. And then when you start to actually understand the morality part, and you will start to cultivate wholesomeness. Remember that the 5 precepts, not to kill and not to lie and not to commit adultery and not to steal and then not to take intoxicants, elaborate itself to 10 wholesomeness, right? The 10 actions of wholesomeness. So if you rely on that to cultivate that wholesomeness, you won't go very wrong. You won't go very wrong. And if you rely on that as a teacher, you won't start to hurt others. And at least you are taking the first step correctly. Okay? And when you cultivate enough wholesomeness, wholesome deeds, you cultivate enough merits. And if whatever seed that you have inside will allow you to start to encounter the Dhamma more. And you will start to search deeper. And then eventually you will start to adopt this path of practicing, right? You will start to practice more and more and more. Then you will eventually start to cultivate more samadhi. A person with stronger morality, and then the second tier, then you start to cultivate samadhi. And that's the second tier, the concentration mind. And then the third tier is you start to, because the strong samadhi, then you will start to actually see inside this mind. Oh, now I know what the Buddha has taught. One of my students has just said one 10-day course in Hong Kong, and she wrote me, she said, Sifu, I have been practicing for the last 10 years. I've said so many 10-day courses, and only this course I start to realize I always follow my old habit. Even when I meditate, I follow my old habit. Things that I don't like, I try to avoid. And things I like, I try to, I like this, let me go and grab more. Even though I try to bring back to my senses that I should not behave like this, but this mind constantly behave like this. And only in this course, I really notice this old habit is so strong. And I need to really make a change. That was great. That was great insight of her, and that actually is starting to go into that third tier of wisdom. All right. So the four questions. When the Buddha is alive, we rely on you. What should we rely on to practice after you have gone into Nibbana? What did the Buddha say? The 4 Satipatthanas. The 4 Satipatthanas, the Dhamma. You know, the 4 Satipatthana is a practice of the mindfulness of your body, the mindfulness of your sensation, the mindfulness of your mind, and the mindfulness of the content of your mind. Or the Dhamma, okay? So these 4 Satipatthana are actually, the Buddha said, this is the only way. This is the only way for liberation. Why? Why do you think these 4 Satipatthanas, the awareness, the mindfulness of this body, the mindfulness of this sensation, the mindfulness of this mind, and the mindfulness of the Dhamma of the mind? Do you understand the Dhamma of the mind? Or the content of the mind? You understand that? The mind, we have this mind, okay? What is the content of the mind right now? It's the Dhamma, okay? What is it now? For me, the Dhamma of my mind right now is all these things right in front of me. That, this teaching thing. What about when you're angry? When you're angry, when you have this emotion of anger, what is the content in that mind at that time? Isn't it obvious? No? Not obvious? Anger, isn't it? What is inside an orange? It's not the peel, right? It's not the peel. The peel is the body. The outside is the body. What is inside the orange? It's the juice, the fruit, this mushy material, the substance. That's just the content. That is the Dhamma of the orange. Yeah? It's very difficult to understand. A lot of people don't understand the Dhamma of the mind. It's the content of the mind at any particular moment. That's how I actually interpret and experience. Okay? So when I looked at this PowerPoint, I know I chose the wrong one, PowerPoint. At that time, I thought, geez, that's the flicker of moment. That flicker of mind coming. Oh, gosh, I don't think I can remember anything to teach tonight. But, that's the Dhamma at that time. There's only a thought that goes by. At that time, that's the Dhamma of that particular moment. At that particular moment of that particular mind. So would the Dhamma constantly change? Of course. Of course. What would the body constantly change? What about the feelings, the sensations of the body? It constantly changes. And even the mind is constantly changing, right? So the Satipatthana is wonderful in a way is you can use all these 4 faculties, you can call them faculties, to actually understand the true teaching of the Buddha is the impermanence. Yeah? The impermanent nature of all these things. And also, to understand the cause of arising and the cause of arising, the causes of arising and the causes of passing. That's the dependent origination. And once you start to understand that within this faculty, because this is your own body, and it's so handy because it follows you. No matter where you go, unless you are a ghost, then the body is here, the mind is there. Or unless we're dead, then the mind is there, the body is there, or the ash is there after it was being cremated. So, so that's why it's actually very, very important to understand and to actually, to practice using this body, because this is such a handy tool. Isn't it true? And it's free. Well, to an extent, unless you have to spend so much money, trying to fiddle with your hair, fiddle with your face, and your clothes, okay? All right. And also the last one he said, after you have gone into Nibbana, we need to compile all your teachings. What should we use to begin in all the teachings? Laurie said, I remember, but no, in the beginning of all the teachings. Yeah, what did they say in English? No. That's anicca, right? Yeah, but he said after you have gone into Nibbana, we need to compile all your teachings. And they did compile all the teachings. What should we use to begin all these teachings, in all these teachings, that means we have a sutta, we have these teachings. How should we begin each teaching, each sutta?
I have heard.
I have heard. This is what I heard. Yeah. Yeah, that's as I heard. Right? This is what I heard. Who is I? Ananda. The great Ananda. The great Ananda. Yeah. So I wanted to explain to you this, the importance of these four things, because it is very important. Because this is what we rely on, the morality, the satipatthana, and how we should deal with those people who are so stubbornly don't want to change. We just keep quiet. We don't point a finger to them. We don't, I don't know how to say that in English. 冇篤穿佢嗬，點講呢？ How do we say this? If we know that they have some problem, we don't poke.
You're not judging them.
No, not judging. Huh?
Correct them.
Yeah, we don't poke the truth. Poke them. We don't poke them so that they.
We don't hit them over the head with the truth.
Is that the Chinese
We
tradition?
don't beat them up.
It's not quite close, but it's
Beat
close.
them up with the truth.
Yeah, beat them up with the truth. We just keep quiet. Because why? If you beat them up with the truth, sometimes they are not ready to accept it. And they hate you.
Then they may run away.
They run away and then they lose the opportunity to learn the Dhamma. Right? So we don't want that. Okay? I did that once. I did that many times. Many times. I did that many times. And I just did it lately. Hey, what's wrong with you? You did that too. I did that lately. I didn't mean badly either. But as a teacher, I have the right to do that. But I don't need to do it unless, I pondered over that. I have thought about that for a long, long time until actually one day I did it. And now I regretted it. I did it. But no point to regret. I learned a lesson. I'll behave better next time. Okay. So the Buddha said, let us see. For those with unwavering resolve For those with unwavering resolve in following the way is great indeed. What does he mean by unwavering resolve?
Oh, just being persevering and determined. Not allowing anybody to sidetrack.
And what did you say, Lynn?
I forgot.
Oh, so fast.
Because I thought of other things.
Oh, already. You said something? Attain, determination, right? Yeah. What else?
And sincerity.
Sincerity. What else? Yep, great. What else? Huh? Faith, all right. Without doubt. Yeah. No, you can doubt. You can doubt. You can doubt. But regain that confidence. You always have confidence in the Triple Gem. When you are in doubt, you allow this confidence, that faith in the Triple Gem to arise in your mind to overcome the doubt. A lot of times we doubt about ourselves. Oh, am I good enough? Am I good enough to actually to become liberated? Or am I good enough to walk on this path? Or is the Dhamma good enough? Or, oh, is my teacher good enough? Or is my Sangha good enough? When you have doubts like that, you allow these good qualities of the Buddha and the Dhamma arise in your mind, and try to, overcome that doubt. All right. One very important thing of unwavering resolve is honesty. Yeah. You have to be honest to yourself. This is actually very, very important, this honesty to yourself. Um, Otherwise, you will walk onto the wrong way. Okay. And unwavering, that means no matter how difficult it is, you don't give up. You don't give up. And the mind is determined. Whether it is difficult or easy, the mind is determined. And whether it is easy, then you don't relax, you don't relax yourself. Because once you relax, that parasite will come in. Yeah. And if you are too tight, the string will be broken. Yeah. So you have to be on the middle path. All right. So unwavering resolve in follow the way, because remember I kept saying is when we practice, we should get lighter and lighter, because we are taking away all the baggage, right? We are eradicating our storage, our stock of anger, our stock of greed, our stock of ignorance. We should not feel heavier and heavier. Instead, we should feel lighter and lighter, and happier and happier, and freer and freer, right? Okay, that's chapter 9. Wonderful. I did not rush, I tell you. Okay, so there is a June 26th, one day M&M. Oh, for those new friends, this is not chocolate course, not M&M chocolate course. It's mindfulness meditation course, okay? And June 30th to August the 6th, that we have this auspicious blessing ceremony at Van Dusen Garden. And a lot of the ceremony would be conducted in bilingually, okay, English and Chinese. And July the 31st, we are here like last year, the Yanko with the monk. Yeah, and the hand forms, yeah. The 31st, it will be here, all right? Yeah, so this is the auspicious blessing chanting ceremony. So from 30th until the 6th, is different. The first 2 days is the meditation and Amitabha chanting. Like in the morning, we have meditation, and in the afternoon, we have Amitabha chanting. And then on the weekday in the evening, Dhamma sharing in Cantonese, I continue with the Mahamangala Sutta that I have actually started in Cantonese. That won't be in bilingually. That won't be done in bilingually, sorry. And then August the 6th, it will be like in the morning at 10 o'clock until 3:30. We'll have a repentance and gratitude prostration. Morning is repentance prostration. Afternoon, we want to wrap up the whole chanting ceremony with gratitude prostration. It is a new combination of chanting. It's completely new, out of the blue moon. And nobody has done this before. And this is a Polam product. Okay. So next week I'm off because I'm off to my self course tomorrow, 10-day self course, which I really need. That's my food, my great food, baked food. And so Dhamma sharing still goes on, maybe Jeopardy, maybe or refreshing your mind, whatever, and so please do come on next Tuesday. We still have meditation. We still have Dhamma sharing. Okay, I'm with you on the other side of the planet. I mean, down south. All right. Okay. So that's for tonight. Let us dedicate our merits. We bring our attention back to this body, feeling this constant flux of changes. In our body, in our breath. And we allow this good thought to arise on our mind. For all the benefits that I gather from hearing the words of the Buddha, may I share with all beings, human, non-human, visible, invisible, far or near, big or small. May they be free of enmity. May they be free of miseries. May they start to live in a world filled with warmth, brightness, and experience love and peace. May more and more people would encounter the words of the Buddha, study and practice, experience his teachings, and liberate themselves from their own entanglements or their own dissatisfactions, and be happy and be peaceful. May you all have a good week and see you in 2 weeks' time.
And then you have a wonderful.
I will. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.